You know that feeling, right? That Monday morning dread where you just stare at the ceiling and think, is this it? Is this really what it's all about? So many of us feel that, more than we'd like to admit. Well, today, we're diving into this incredible concept from Japan called Ikigai. It's all about your reason for being. But don't worry, this isn't some abstract philosophy. We're going to see how it's actually a practical compass that can totally transform your everyday life. Okay, let's get into it. Wow, this quote, it just hits you, doesn't it? Because it feels so real. I've definitely been there myself, in jobs that were fine. They paid the bills, but they didn't light me up. I was just kind of going through the motions. And that feeling of being adrift, of not having a clear direction, that's a really tough place to be. But here's the thing, that feeling, it's often the perfect starting point for a huge positive change. So how do we actually go from feeling lost to finding that purpose? Well, honestly, one of the best ways is just to see how other people have done it. We're going to look at 3 really different but very real stories of people who felt that same sense of being adrift and used it to find their Ikigai. Okay, first up, imagine this. You spend your entire life dedicated to one thing. Your purpose is crystal clear. And then, poof, it's gone overnight. That is exactly what happened to Hiroshi, a retired teacher. All that structure, the joy he got from his students, that feeling of contributing, it just vanished. He was left with this big empty space. He had all the time in the world, but he'd lost his why. So what did he do? And this is the cool part. He didn't try to invent some brand new purpose. He just looked inside at what was already there. A passion for gardening and a real talent for telling stories. He started volunteering at a local center, mixing those 2 things together to teach kids about nature. What's so amazing about this is that his new purpose wasn't something he had to go find. It was something he rediscovered and just combined in a new way. All right, next up is Aiko. Totally different story. She's a young entrepreneur, and from the outside, she had it all. A successful tech startup, money, respect. She was the picture of success. But on the inside, she was completely burning out. Her story is such a powerful reminder that what the world calls success doesn't automatically equal happiness or fulfillment. Aiko had this huge realization that her passion wasn't just for tech, but for what tech could do for people. So she took a big step back and asked herself, what do I actually care about? And the answer was education. So she pivoted her entire company to make educational apps for children. This wasn't just a smart business decision. For her, it was a massive shift toward a life that actually felt meaningful, aligning her skills with her values. And for our last story, let's talk about Satoshi. He was deep in the world of corporate finance, spreadsheets, big deals, bottom lines. He had a great career on paper, but he felt like a tiny cog in this huge, impersonal machine. He was totally disconnected from any real human impact. It was a successful career that left him feeling completely empty inside. So Satoshi did something incredibly brave. He just walked away from that secure, high-status corporate job to chase what he really loved, making food that brings people joy. He opened a tiny sushi restaurant and he poured his entire heart into it. For him, this wasn't just changing jobs. It was a complete reinvention of his life, built around something that finally made him feel alive. Now, these stories are so inspiring, right? But what's really fascinating is that this isn't just a collection of feel-good anecdotes. There is actual measurable science behind why finding your purpose has such a huge impact on your mind and your body. So let's geek out for a minute and look at what's actually happening in your brain when you live with Ikigai. Okay, so think of your brain as having its own built-in reward system. When you do something that feels purposeful, and it can be something really small, your brain releases this little cocktail of feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. It's basically your brain giving you a high five and saying, yes, this is good, do more of this. That deep satisfaction that Hiroshi, Aiko, and Satoshi felt, that's real chemistry happening. And the benefits are so much bigger than just a quick mood boost. We're talking about real, tangible things. You get a lasting boost in motivation, a deeper level of happiness, and, this is incredible, it can even lead to a longer, healthier life. I mean, think about it. Hiroshi's new reason to get up in the morning, Aiko finally escaping burnout. These are the real-world results of living a life with meaning. And if you want to see this on a huge, real-world scale, just look at Okinawa, Japan. This is a place that's famous for having one of the highest concentrations of people living over 100. And one of the key things researchers point to is that a strong sense of Ikigai is just part of their culture. People there keep a clear sense of purpose their entire lives, and it's a major reason for their incredible health and longevity. It's just amazing. Okay, so we've seen the powerful stories, and we've touched on the science behind why it all works. So the next big question is, how do you actually find your Ikigai? Well, it's not about waiting for some lightning bolt of inspiration to strike. It's actually a process of asking yourself some really good questions. Here's the practical blueprint for starting that discovery. Remember Aiko's journey? Going from total burnout to this incredible breakthrough? That didn't just happen by accident. She intentionally used a framework, a set of powerful questions to get to the core of what she really wanted. And the great news is, these are questions that absolutely any of us can use to start finding our own way. Here they are, the 4 core questions of Ikigai. Now, don't feel like you have to answer these all at once. Think of them more like a compass. First, what do you absolutely love doing? Second, what are you actually good at? Third, what is something the world needs that you can give? And fourth, what can you be rewarded for? The place where all 4 of those circles overlap, that's the sweet spot. That's your Ikigai. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Those are some pretty big questions. And yeah, looking at them all together can feel a little overwhelming. But please, don't worry. You don't have to have it all figured out by the end of this. The journey to Ikigai isn't a sprint to the finish line. It's all about taking small, meaningful steps day after day. So, here are 3 super simple micro habits you can literally start today. First, just reflect. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I do something I love today? Second, act. Just spend 10 minutes, that's it, on a passion. And third, connect. Find a way to share that passion with someone else, because purpose so often comes alive when we're serving others. And this brings us to such a critical point about Ikigai. It's not some final destination you arrive at one day. It's a path you're always walking. I like to think of it like taking care of a garden. You don't just plant the seeds and walk away. You have to tend to it, water it, and nurture it every day. Your Ikigai is the exact same. It's the daily practice of aligning what you do with what brings you joy. I absolutely love this because it just nails the incredible power of small, consistent effort. It wasn't one giant leap for Hiroshi, Aiko, or Satoshi. It was the 10 minutes Hiroshi spent in his garden, or the 1 new line of code Aiko wrote, or the perfect slice of fish for Satoshi. It's those tiny moments that, when you add them up over time, build a life that feels truly rich and meaningful. So, I'll leave you with this question. Not what's your ultimate grand purpose, because that's too big, but something much smaller. What's one small thing you can do today that connects you to your Ikigai? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to give you that little spark of joy. Because that one spark, that's exactly how the journey begins. By the way, if you want to dive deeper into these kinds of topics, we explore them in a much more informal way over on our Spotify podcast. But for now, just think about that one small thing.